I don't think it's smart to to set out to make a viral video.
Right.
Like, hey, let's make a viral. Like, you don't even know it's gonna be a viral video. Setting the goal to make a viral video is you working within the limits and confines of a box. It's wise and it's healthy to understand that nobody's in control except for God.
Right.
At the end of the day, right? You can have the best strategy, you can have the best team, right? But at the end of the day, right, the creator of the world, we believe that's God. God decides what's going to happen at the end of the day.
And we're live. Welcome to 3D Media Live podcast. I'm your host, Dimitri, and I have my co-host, Akiva, right here next to me. And today I'm actually going to be interviewing Akiva.
Yeah.
Because he has a very interesting story to tell. He is an online influencer, for those that don't know. His Instagram page is growing at a super rapid pace. Since he joined our company, his page, I think, was at like 15,000 followers. Now it's way north of 40,000, and that's in a short span of time. And also his statistics are through the roof. I haven't seen those statistics even on pages that have 300, 500,000 likes or followers. And I would love for Akiva to share some secrets for anybody that's aspiring to be an influencer or aspiring to have success on social media. Welcome, Akiva, again.
Man, what an intro.
Thank you very much.
Man, I have to can we do that part again? Just we can do the...
We can do it as much as you like.
No, man, that was good. No, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Very kind words.
Thank you for coming back one more time. You've been missed.
Yeah, I know. It's been I've been behind the scenes on the past couple episodes, but it's still I'm still here, though.
You're always there.
Yeah.
The guy behind all the editing, the guy behind the camera, Akiva is always there. So, Akiva.
Yes, sir.
How long did it take you to get where you are now on Instagram? Tell us a little bit more about your page and your experience. I know you covered that a little bit in your first episode.
Yeah.
But I want to get down into the nitty and gritty more, into the technical side. Because it's like science, basically. It's not just something that's naturally comes and people can hope for the best.
Yeah, so my wife and I, we started our social media journey November 2022. So it hasn't been that long. And so we decided that we would talk about our spiritual journey. And for maybe some of those who have maybe watched the first episode, my wife and I and our kids, we went on a conversion to Judaism. Totally different spiritual journey. We weren't brought up that way. But it was something that we truly connected with. And so, long story short, because it is a long story, we decided to document it. When we were first learning about the Torah and Judaism, there wasn't a lot of people online kind of sharing that same experience. But thankfully, though, we were able to connect to quite a bit of people. But as far as families, husband and wife and families kind of sharing their journey, sharing their experience, we didn't really see any. So my wife and I said, okay, let's, what if we document our journey from kind of beginning to end and just kind of go from there. And so then, people started, responding back to it and people started engaging. And we were a little bit hesitant because we didn't know if people would be receptive of people who weren't Jewish talking about Jewish things. And so that was kind of the hesitancy at first. And then my wife and I both agreed, so let's just do it anyway. And then it just started kind of going from there.
Nice. Well, I think it's not just about turning into having a Jewish conversion. I think it's just you guys are likable people and people like inspirational stories. Anytime somebody's reaching towards God and trying to find ways to connect to something beyond themselves, it's also always inspirational.
Yeah, I agree.
I think people would have watched you regardless which topic you would have covered. It happened to be a very special topic in my view, but I think it's still just interesting right now. Your new topic is moving to Israel, for example.
Yeah, moving to Israel.
And it's always fun to follow somebody's journey.
Yeah.
And always fun to cheer for someone beyond all the hardships that are involved. in both of those journeys, there were lots of hardships.
Yeah.
In the conversion process, I know it's not an easy thing to convert to Judaism. Jews don't just necessarily endorse conversions because we view every human being equally valuable.
Right.
We don't go out seeking people to convert to Judaism. In fact, there's a famous story about, forgot who was saying it, but they were saying that a righteous non-Jewish person from the perspective of a Jewish person is as holy as Kohen Gadol, which is the high priest, which even Jewish people cannot aspire to be as holy as high priest, because we do have distinctions between, within Judaism, we have the Levites, the Kohanim, which are the priests, high priests, and then the rest of Israel.
Right.
So a normal Jewish person has not been born to be a high priest cannot aspire to be on that level. Yet we view anybody that's not Jewish, that follows the Noahide laws, to be as righteous as a high priest. So that kind of, I think, explains why it's not necessarily important for Jewish people to convince others to become Jewish. I think it's just sometimes some people get attracted to the idea to be Jewish. It feels like more home for them than other ways of worshiping God. But there are definitely different ways to worship God. But it was definitely not an easy journey to take.
No, not an easy journey at all. There's been lots of very, very challenging points. But I look back at all of the challenging parts of our journey. Was just part. They were designed to really help us grow. I believe the people that we are today is because of the challenges that we've had to go through.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's lots to learn. There's a lot of great teachings to learn, and it's sometimes maybe overwhelming, especially for our family. But now you've embarked on the new journey, which is going to the Holy Land.
Yeah.
That doesn't have, let's say, the safest condition at the moment. I don't care which side of the political aisle you are. I don't think anybody wants war. But nevertheless, it is home to the Jewish people. I think that's a truth that nobody can argue. And the fact that you've joined the Jewish tribe, you want to go back to the homeland, very much respect that. I think a lot of people respect that. Even, like I said, people that are maybe opposed to the state of Israel, they always say that they're not opposed to the Jewish people, and I think everybody recognizes that the only real home for the Jewish people is the state of Israel.
100%.
But that's beyond the point. That's not the topic of our discussion today. The topic of our discussion today is more on the business side, which is how can you make a successful social media channel? And I know that was never really your intended purpose to be successful on social media. I think that was part of the success, because you were not focusing on monetization or anything to do with success from social media. It was just you wanted to share your story. And from my observation, I've seen this countless of times, the most successful influencers, whenever they start off with a goal to make money, they give up very quickly because the money doesn't come for a very, very long time.
That's right.
They're there for just to tell a story because it's something they want to share their passion.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of the step number one for anybody out there, even thinking of social media. It should be share your passion. And that goes very true with many businesses that come to us and they say, can you help us with social media? Mm-hmm. My response is, if you're not passionate about your own business, to tell your own story, there's not much we can do for you.
Sure, that's a fact.
It's going to seem like fake content.
You can always point them out.
Yeah. But actually, I want to hear a little bit more about your statistics. I kind of gave a very broad overview, but how many followers do you have as of right now? Do you remember? I know it's always changing. It's going up and up and up.
Yeah, on Instagram it's 43,000.
43,000. Wow.
Yeah, it's YouTube 11,000, and TikTok is like 10, almost 11,000.
So on Instagram, how many likes do you get on average in a post?
Oh man, the likes, I would say on average maybe 30, 40,000 likes. Wow. Yeah, on average.
That's crazy.
So I mean, because we have 40,000 followers, so it's usually like a good between almost 90-100% engagement.
That is incredible, because I've seen many pages, people that have 300,000 followers, or a million followers. They don't even get those numbers. So I think the secret is, actually, I want to ask you, what do you think the secret is? How do you keep people engaged? How do you think the algorithm pushes out your content in front of all of your audience? Because I know having followers doesn't necessarily mean that they will see your content.
Sure.
How come they see your content?
Well, if I can kind of go back a little bit on some things you said, you hit on some very, very important points. You know, when it comes to starting off, or I guess becoming an influencer, right? I think you said it best. Me and my wife, we didn't set out to become an influencer. We didn't say, okay, we want to have 40,000 followers or what have you. Our goal was to do exactly what you said, to share our passion, right? Which also means we wanted to add value. And we tell people that. People ask us all the time, they're like, okay, well, how did you do it? I say, don't look to make money. Don't look to have followers. Look to add value. And I think that's the difference maker. You know, me and my wife, we wanted to share the journey, and I believe that is a form of adding value to people, because there were people who wanted to get educated on what is it like to actually go through a conversion process. What is it like to live as a Jewish family? You know, what is it, right? So we were educating people and adding value. And so I think that's the first place. Then within that, you start like knowing why you do what you do. It's so important to know why, rather than just, you know, pick up a microphone or pick up your phone and start recording randomness. Now, sometimes there are people who do that and then they blow up. They just pick. I seen a funny video yesterday actually, and it was I don't want to give too many details, but it was, pick up my camera and we're just going to record doing silly stuff, and they're gigantic or whatever.
I think that's actually an interesting point, because there are plenty of people like that. Even, believe it or not, Mr. Beast, as famous as he is, he often says that, you know, his content didn't pick up traction for a long time.
Right.
Just about perseverance. If people post enough of it, something will stick.
Yeah, and you just got to stay with it. And I think you got to be in it for the long run. And, you know, if you're like, oh, well, if I don't see 10,000 likes on my video, it ain't working, right? Well, there's a very, very great chance that that's going to be the case. When you put out your first, you know, handful of videos, nobody's going to see it yet a lot of times, you know, just on some of those very, very rare occasions. But you got to be in for the long haul. How do you know that you're going to be in it for the long haul? You got to be passionate about it. You got to be passionate about it, you know, because again, you're going to have the highs, you're going to have the lows. Who are you in the low places when things aren't going good in your life, right? The people who are still passionate about those particular gifts and the experiences that they want to share, those are going to be the people that learn how to still create in some of those challenging times. So I wanted to say that first. You know, when it comes to the question you asked me was what again? You asked me about growth?
I asked you about like more of the statistics.
The statistics. Yeah. So, because we were talking about engagement.
Right.
Yeah. So
how do you get all of your followers to see all of your content? Because that's a common problem that people have. They may have a lot of followers, but at some point in time, Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, whatever, the algorithm decides not to show the content that they post to the subscribers, which is very frustrating.
You know, I think it started off with just us honestly being consistent.
Like building a momentum.
Build momentum. We just you know, kept putting out videos, and at the very beginning it was like every day, you know, maybe five times a week on Instagram. We did like 1 or 2 videos a week on YouTube. But I even still within that, I think me and my wife, we were just authentic. We just were honest about who we were. You know, we didn't put on a show. We didn't put on a mask or anything. It's like, you know, and I think I think the reason that people watch our videos is because like we're not trying to be anybody else. Like we're just telling our story,
Right.
you know, and people want to engage with real people. And honestly, that's really it. I know, you know, sometimes maybe people may not like that answer, but like we were just authentic. You know, you mentioned algorithm. You know, I heard Mr. B say this once. He said, just replace algorithm with the word audience. Right. And because people come up to him all the time and they're like, oh, the algorithm not showing my stuff. The algorithm not this. He was like, okay. Well, he was like, change the word. Audience. Do the audience want to see your videos?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I think the algorithm probably is doing extremely good job over the years. They've modified it to truly kind of tell if the content is right for the audience or not.
Yeah, because it's very advanced.
It's very hard to cheat it.
The algorithm is very advanced, and if the content isn't engaging, then that means that whatever that algorithm is, it doesn't have an audience to show it.
Right.
You know? So
basically, if you have like the best hashtags, the best title, the best description, but a crappy video,
exactly,
it's not going to do well.
Because
and vice for the exact opposite would be true.
Yeah.
If you have poor everything but nice content, it might still actually do really well.
Exactly. Content, we hear it all the time. Content is king. It is because even if you still have like you're a hashtag master, or you're listening to all these gurus and you have all these different techniques, but then if the content isn't good, because here's the thing, once your video gets in front of people, right, it can show people as they're scrolling on Instagram, your video can pop up. If it's not engaging, then 100,000 people may see it, but then they're not going to watch it. There's a difference between seeing it and watching it. We want people to watch the video.
Right.
I don't want them to just see it, right? Seeing it is just, I see videos all the time, right? But I got to be interested.
Well, let's try to actually dissect some of that. I think generalizing is good, but I'm sure there's some kind of science that maybe we can explore.
Yeah.
Would you say true or false? If the video catches your attention the first 3 seconds, that makes a big difference.
100%.
Do you have that in mind when you're posting a video?
Not all the time.
Wow.
Not all the time. Because.
What about in the beginning?
No. I can't. I want to say yes, but I can't.
Wow.
That's being 100% honest, because we never made videos. We never made the videos like that. We made videos because we liked to make the videos, and I think that's probably maybe one of the difference makers. Like, because we could also keep all those things in mind. Like, okay, well, let's make an engaging video. But sometimes that can take away from, do I really like the video, the authenticity, right? And so that's why we've never, like, we tried it a couple times, and there's some videos that worked. We had some different things in mind, right? But my wife and I, we can't consistently operate that way, because one, that's not how we started, but it's just not coming from a real place, right? We're like, okay, let's make a video first because we like it.
Right.
Because I found out also too, like there's been times where we're not like feeling it, and then we struggle editing it. We struggle with really creating a story behind it, with really getting it, making it right, and it's just and it doesn't really come out how it's supposed to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's a very strong message. My guess is, when you're making interesting content, it's naturally engaging in the first 3 seconds. Like, it's just naturally engaging. But also, I think after a while, when people already know you, they recognize you, they will give you a certain leeway. They will watch through the first 3 seconds to find out what message you have to deliver today. So that kind of results. I think maybe in the beginning it might be much more critical to have those first 3 seconds that are engaging, but I think later down the line, it might become less relevant, because people will just want to know what you have to say, and they'll be patient for it.
That's exactly it, man. That's exactly it. Because now, like we were, even with our YouTube our YouTube, we were, because that's where we started. We were very strong with YouTube first. And YouTube is a lot harder to build versus Instagram because it's longer form content. And so we really learned a lot about like SEO, search engine optimization, and we were really learning a tool called TubeBuddy, right? It's a very, very, very popular tool. It's powerful. Then there's another
That's
one.
what we're using right now.
And
for 3D
we're using that right now for 3D media. And I like it because it really walks you through how to optimize every section of your particular content, from the title down to the description. You can do A/B testing on your thumbnails, all these different things. It helps you optimize it. So that really, really helped us at the very, very beginning.
Oh, you started using it right away?
We started using it right away. Like
wow, that could be a small secret, partial secret to your success as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't think many people start off using the right tools from the very beginning.
Yeah, we did a lot of research.
Because the beginning is the hardest.
Yeah, it is. Because like our very first video, it was the video about we're leaving our former religion. We're gonna start on this journey, and that was like telling everybody what we're doing now. Because we had a small following. It was like 2,000 followers on Instagram at that time. And my wife and I, we were just kind of, before we started on our official run, we were just kind of talking about marriage, family stuff. We'll post pictures about our, with our kids and family, marriage tips, things like that. And then we learned about the TubeBuddy, and it helped us just to be able just to optimize it properly. Right. So that's what we did at the beginning.
That's cool. What about other things that we can kind of focus? Do you think the thumbnails are critically important? I
do think, because that's the first thing that people see before they click the video.
When did you figure that part out? At which stage?
At the beginning.
Also with the help of TubeBuddy?
With the help of TubeBuddy and just some other things I just learned from different people online.
I know you make amazing thumbnails because you make them for our podcast. They're all killer thumbnails. What do you use for thumbnails?
Canva.
Yeah,
okay. Canva's super easy, super streamlined. I like it.
Nice.
Yeah.
What would you recommend? What is like the most, I'd say, the most spicy advice for making the best thumbnail?
The most spicy advice. Don't overdo it.
It has to look clean.
It has to look very clean. And
text?
Yeah, I mean, text should be, you should be able to see the text. But also too, there are people who use thumbnails who don't have a text. But these are like people that have like millions and millions of followers, and they've mastered thumbnails. Some of these people, they don't use any text, but it's just a picture of whatever they're doing and then a title. And then you're able to just grasp like, okay, this is what this video is about, right? And so not everybody is able to do that, but whatever text you do use, you have to know how it has to be the right placement, because when you look on YouTube, there's a small, especially if you're on your phone, it's a small rectangle, and then at the bottom right there's like the number, like the timeline number of however long the video is. So you have to make sure you don't put any text down in that part. Like if you do, you have to make sure that the majority of your text is on the other side. You know what I mean? So placement is important. Picture, so you gotta be able to tell a story. What is it? Mr. Beast, he spends thousands and thousands of dollars on having the right thumbnails. So that kind of lets us know, that it's pretty important.
I think I've heard him say once he scrapped a whole video because he couldn't find the right thumbnail after spending in like hundreds of thousands of dollars on filming it.
Now some people start with the thumbnail first before they even make a video, and then they record the video. Some people have that technique. I've never done that before, but I've heard quite a few people start there.
So their vision starts with what the thumbnail is.
Yeah, so they'll have a thumbnail and a title, and then they make the video.
I guess that's very true about like content creation when it's a profession.
Yeah.
When your goal is to create content at any cost.
Yeah.
Not necessarily when you're telling a story.
Mm-hmm.
When you're telling a story, then you're basically making up story based on the vision that you foresee. It's not an authentic story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different.
You know, I see, but here's what I love though. What I love about content creation is that, yes, there's a science behind some of it, but being a content creator leaves room for you to be so creative. Like it's unlimited ways to go about doing it. You know, like because the human being, the human mind, the soul, like we're so creative, you know, and like if you really, really sit there and think about it, it's pretty amazing. All the different types of routes that a person can take, and you know, so it's like, yes, there are rules, right? There's guidelines that you want to abide by, you know, but I think if a person really wants to be a content creator, I think you have to be careful and make sure that you're not getting so caught up in rules, you know, not getting so caught up in the guidelines, because sometimes you can create within a boundary. You can create within a guideline, and sometimes that can make you stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
It can restrict your creativity. It's like, okay, I can only create within this box. I think that's dangerous. Don't create in a box, right? Because you know you're so much bigger than that. Right? If you create just in that restricted space, you're going to have a challenge being able to create and also being able to stay consistent long term.
Okay, that's a really good point. Now, when it comes to content creation, are you using like professional tools for filming, for all the sound? How did it start, and where are you now?
Nice. Now I'm glad you asked that, because some people ask, like, some people think that you have to have, you know, $500 cameras, $1,000 cameras and equipment. And me and my wife started. We started on our phones.
And the phones now are incredible.
Holy moly, yeah, they are. So we started on the phone, and so then we switched fairly quickly to we bought a DSLR camera. It was like
Sony,
a
right?
Lumix. We had a
Lumix.
Lumix camera. That was our first one. Excuse me. So maybe like our first, I don't know, 10, 15 videos were on that. And then we were able to kind of go to a Sony ZV-1. So I wanted something smaller because we were getting into the vlogging a lot, and we were really, really pushing it. So we were creating a lot of content. So I wanted to be able to, you know, have something small where I can move it around a little bit more. And that was also a little bit better quality than the Lumix that I had. And then now we're back with the phones. We're back on the phones. Sometime I'll still use the Sony when it comes to like if we're sitting at our table somewhere and we're doing maybe like a live stream. So we'll stream with, and we'll use that Sony as a webcam, so it can be super 4K. It can be very crispy. So we use it from time to time. But our everyday camera is the phone. We have iPhone 15 Pro. And then sometimes we use like a lavalier mic. We're about to start kind of kicking that in a little bit more, because sound is so important.
Sound is,
you know, and on the phone it doesn't have the best quality, especially, you know, depending on where you are. If you're in a room that has a whole bunch of acoustic, right, it might not be that good. You know, like we did a video, we recorded something last night for a particular brand that we're working with, and as I was editing it, it was a lot of echo. I was like, okay, we got to get our mic back. You know, we got to get the lavalier mic. But for the majority, here's the thing though. I wanted to say all that because the majority of our videos, we did it without professional sounding sound. You know, for the majority, I would say maybe 80%, 75-80% of our videos was just with cameras. You know, without the best sound. So it can be done. You know, you just gotta stay consistent and, you know, have passion, man.
I think you've brought up an important point that, you know, first of all, the fact that you started on the phone.
Yeah.
That kind of, I think, unwrapped you from from worrying about perfect picture quality. And sometimes people get so much into it, they become perfectionists.
Yeah.
And they lose track of what are they actually recording.
That's it, man.
And that's a big problem. Again, it goes back to focus on the story. What story are you trying to tell?
Yep.
Is it, first of all, authentic, and is it interesting?
Yep.
in both your cases, it was authentic and it was interesting. And I think there was another thing that you kind of touched upon that we didn't cover, that the fact that you said that when you started this channel and recording your story, there wasn't too many people that were doing the same thing.
Correct.
So sometimes you have to be also mindful of that.
Sure.
Be unique. If you're going to retell the same thing that 1,000 other people already told, might not be as engaging, might not be as interesting to people. You have to find unique niche or unique idea that hasn't been covered. There's always opportunity.
Yes, I do believe that holds a lot of truth. But I also believe this, maybe this is on a deeper level, if God wants a person to share something, then it can be 50 million people doing the same thing. And,
right. And his story will be the one that gets covered.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, I look at niches, but we never considered, like we would have done what we're doing now with or without an opening, in that particular space on social media. If there were other families, we still would have done it, because we said, okay, this is our story. Nobody can tell our story like us.
Well, I think that goes back to it being authentic.
Yeah.
I think if it's not authentic, it doesn't matter if you have other things checkmarked. Yeah. It's just not going to work.
It's not going to work.
But going back to the equipment, a funny thing that we keep going back to Mr. Beast, but there's a good reason. He's the #1 influencer, content creator in the world for a good reason. I saw an interview where he was showing his equipment and he was showing his studio. When it comes to studio, he goes out of this world. He invests like crazy. But when it comes to equipment, he has a lot of cameras, but he's kind of plateaued out at the level of cameras that he uses. Mm-hmm. I think he specifically says he doesn't want to upload, I think, 4K videos. Don't hold me on that. But I remember for a fact he said that I don't want to have the best quality videos. Yeah. Because then it looks less, I wouldn't say even authentic. It looks too much like it's production quality. Sometimes people want to see something that's raw.
They do, man.
And that probably is already our conditioning in the mind. When we see something too professional, we know it's staged. Yeah. When it's something in the moment, you don't have the time to make a perfect composition, perfect picture quality, perfect lighting. You're just going to take your phone and shoot it. Yeah. When you're truly inspired, you're going to take out your phone or whatever, you're going to shoot. Yep. It goes back to how important the message is. Yeah. He just figured it out that by design, that's like the psychology behind it, and he's using that tool, and that's why he's the most successful. Yep. But that's a very important component. Do not get distracted by having the best picture quality and equipment. That doesn't mean that we're not going to try to improve we keep switching in this podcast, trying to improve it overall, but that's not the main thing. No. Ultimately, even if we screw up on the picture, but the message is good, we're still going to post it. That's it. Because that's what matters. And I hope this picture quality is okay. We're still trying.
Yeah, we encourage people, don't let what you don't have stop you from what you do have.
Right. It's a great quote.
You got a phone, pull your phone out. You don't have to be perfect. And I get it, because me and my wife, even still, we still have to remind each other that it doesn't have to be perfect. Well, let me rephrase that. My wife is reminding me that we don't have to be perfect, because she doesn't do the editing. I do, and so sometimes I'll stay on a particular thing for a longer period of time, and then I'll ask her, hey babe, what do you think? And she's like, just post it. Right. Just post it. Doesn't have the. She's like, you're thinking too much, and sometimes that can be an issue. Sometimes we can just think too much, overthink it, because we think it has to be the perfect, has to be this, has to be this, right? But sometimes it can just, the extra 20, 30 minutes that I sit there trying to find out, figure out the right cut or the right angle or the right zoom in. That could have been 30 minutes. I could have been doing something else.
Right. So I think we covered that content pretty well. The next thing I wanted to touch upon is, once you do post a video, what do you do after that?
Good question.
First of all, when you produce that video in the first place, do you have it in the back of your mind, do I need to make a call out where people are going to post a comment? Because comments are important. It's like what tells the algorithm people are, interested about this, and they will comment more, and it's like snowballs and makes things go viral.
Yeah. You're asking me really good questions. And I feel like I'm giving you answers that aren't the most popular, right? So because
And that's why you're here. That's why I want to hear it from somebody that's successful in practice rather than theory. Because in theory, we can say a million things, try it, and it doesn't work.
So no, we don't do any call to actions. We only do a call to action if it's like if we have a brand partnership, right? So we just post. Matter of fact, okay. Well, yesterday we posted a video. My wife has a brand partnership with a particular head wrap company, and so at the end of the video, she did a call to action. She said, basically, if you're interested, click on the link in the bio and do right. So that's a call to action. But if it's not something like that, we don't do a call to action. We just post a video and then people engage with it, and that
goes back to content being authentic and interesting.
Yeah, and we even when we started, we never did call to actions. Like, I mean, in our, like at the end of the video, like if you want to say, like at the end of the video, we say, hey, if you enjoyed this content, consider subscribing, things like that.
But you ask, leave us a comment. What do you think about this?
Yeah, sometimes, but that's not. But there's a lot of videos where we don't say that, like especially on Instagram. Instagram, we don't really do any of that. We just post the content and then people engage with it.
And Instagram is short format too, so if you spend too much time extra, it might actually take away from your viewership rate. I think that's one of the things the algorithm looks at, from my understanding, is how much of the video is being watched. So if people tune out a little bit too early, then it might hurt you. And so if you add those extra things at the end that people might tune out of, that will probably hurt you a little bit. And probably your videos, I don't know if you have the statistics or you can look it up. What is the watch rate on your videos? How much of it do they actually watch?
The watch
that would be actually a very important thing to look into.
Oh, the video is 18 seconds long. I thought it was a minute. 1.1 million plays. And the average watch time is 14 seconds. So people watch the majority of it.
That's pretty impressive. So I'm sure that's a big factor.
Yeah.
Again, algorithm is just it's a formula, mathematical formula.
Yeah.
It looks at many criteria, and I'm sure the watch rate makes a big impression on if it thinks it's an important video for other people to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was that one went viral like immediately. It went viral immediately, and then it went beyond our because it shows you every video shows you what percentage of your particular followers are watching the video. And so with that one, the majority of it was like a small percentage of our audience seeing it, but then the majority, maybe 95%, was a whole bunch of other people.
Speaking of which, that's actually a great point.
Yeah.
How many, in your videos, on average, how many views are from people that are not following?
Pull out my phone.
That's another important stat.
No, that's a good question. For the past 30 days, there have been 53,000 accounts engaged past 30 days, and 32% are people who don't follow us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a very loyal following.
Yeah.
They're seeing majority of yours.
No. Actually, no. That looks, if you can look, that's actually like 75%.
Yeah. So 75% of people that are following you.
No, they're not. So
the opposite.
These are non.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what that could be though? That could be
when you're doing collabs, maybe?
No, that could actually be new eyes on our video, people, like our videos reaching new people,
because going beyond your followers.
Yeah.
And you have done some collabs that I think would explain some of that as well.
Yeah, done some collabs. And then there is one video that's kind of.
Can we actually touch on that, on doing collabs?
Yeah, let's do it.
What's the most successful collab we've done, and how did it impact your page?
The most successful. Pull out my phone again. I should probably just keep the phone out, huh? The most successful collab.
So using 3 cameras sometimes present challenges because one of them can just all of a sudden stop recording for various reasons. And it happened in this case. So we're going to try to backtrack a little bit. Rewind and continue our conversation. So if it doesn't flow all of a sudden, please forgive us.
Have grace with us.
We're trying our best. So I think where we left off before one of the cameras stopped recording was, and we'll find out in the editing, we start talking about stats.
Yeah.
One of them we looked at engagement.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, view rate. And we found out that on average, your view rate goes from like 50% viewership to like the most, one of the best videos was like 75%.
Yeah, something like that.
So, and that's very important. When people watch through the most of the video, it goes back to that idea: is the audience interested in watching your stuff, and the algorithm will decide whether to show it more, and that's how viral things happen. And we spoke about that one video that you have where your kids were in Target.
Yeah.
And you tell about it.
Yeah. So we were at Target some years back, and my kids saw a woman, grabbing different products, but she didn't have a cart or a basket or anything, and so she was holding everything in her hands. And so my kids decided to go get a shopping cart and to give it to the lady. And so when I saw them approaching the lady, I asked my wife, like, babe, what are they doing? And so then she told me what happened, because I didn't see it at first. I was tending to one of our other kids. And so we did not say, hey, I'm going to record you while, so you see that lady, go get a bag, right? We didn't tell them to do it, right? Because they decided to do a very kind act on their own. We said, okay, then I said, I'm going to pull up my camera and record it, and I'm going to share it with the world. And so obviously we didn't know that it'll be a viral video. But it did.
I kind of think that viral video means it validates its authenticity, because people are smart enough to see through when something's staged or not.
Good point.
When things are real, people will watch it, people will like it, people will comment.
Yeah.
It tells the algorithm this is a real video.
Yeah.
This was not staged.
That's so perfect too. Because I don't think it's smart
to stage things. And
I don't think it's smart to to set out to make a viral video.
Right.
Like, hey, let's make a viral video. Like, you don't even know it's going to be a viral video, right? But I think, again, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. I think setting the goal to make a viral video is you working within the limits and confines of a box, and I think that can restrict you a lot.
Yeah, if you're following those same objectives that we've kind of established thus far, which is authenticity, perseverance, you have to have that momentum, and also just tell the message that's interesting.
Yeah, and if I can also add this, right, and maybe some people connect with this or maybe not, but I'm a person of faith, and I know you are. I do think that it's wise and it's healthy to understand that nobody's in control except for God.
Right.
At the end of the day, right? You can have the best strategy, you can have the best team, right? But at the end of the day, right, the creator of the world, we believe that's God. God decides what's going to happen at the end of the day, right? So that's kind of our underlying belief, and we build upon that, right? And everybody may not agree. They have different theories and rules, and we get it, right? But I do, even if you don't have the same faith that we share, right, believing that there's something higher than you, I think is very, very important.
I think it's a universal truth.
It's a universal truth.
It transcends any religion, transcends anybody, even like saying that agnostic people say that they believe that there is a higher form of existence.
Yeah.
Something beyond this. It just says that you're humble.
Yeah.
Be humble. That's, I think, a very universal message.
There we go.
I happen to agree with you that, if in the plain sense, if God wants you to succeed, then no matter what you do, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it doesn't hurt to find out, be more objective and scientific to see what can we do better. Because if you have For example, if you create a temple for God, that's great, but you want to beautify the temple. That's kind
Yeah.
of like a message I'm trying to put across, that yeah, you want to be authentic, you want to be creative, you want to be true to the story that you're telling, but it doesn't help to know the nitty and gritty.
Yeah.
It doesn't help to know the kind of the science behind it. I think it's a very good thing to combine faith with science. It's to be more, how shall I say this, knowledgeable.
Yeah.
That's knowledge is power.
And it's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with understanding how things work.
Exactly.
It's nothing wrong with that.
So going back, I think where we kind of left off, I asked you a question was, what do you do once the video is posted?
Yeah. So after the video is posted, what we do is try our best to start engaging right away with people.
Replying to comments.
Exactly. Because we're like, if people are willing to take out 5 seconds of their time to comment on my video, I can take 5 seconds of my time to tell them thank you for doing so. And what that does is shows that we see you. People who follow you, they want to know that they're seen, because a lot of times people are like, oh, well, they're not going to see this, they're not going to respond to me. But man, I mean, we've seen it time and time again that it makes their world when you take a quick second to just send an emoji, send a thank you. It just does the world of a difference, and it just shows that you're grateful for the community.
Yeah, that actually what's builds the community, and I think you told
Yeah.
me this once. That's I think resonated with me a lot. You want to build a community, not just followers.
That's it.
You want to build a community that feels like they're first of all following together.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point, man, where our online community has become a family to us. And like a lot of them we know, a lot of them, because they communicate so much, they'll communicate with us via email, or they'll, so then they'll share certain things about their life with us. And like, we know quite a bit of people, like some personal stuff about some of the people that follow us, so it's become a family. And like you said, we want to build a community. When you got a community, it's like, it's more than just followers. Like we got each other's back. We're here for each other, and we're gonna show up no matter what. Whatever video you put out, we got you.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's funny how you said that it just takes a few seconds to respond. The thing is, it adds up after a while. Those few seconds turn into a few minutes, few hours.
It does.
When you start getting like, how many responses did you get on average? How many?
At the beginning or now?
No.
Oh, I mean, it's hundreds.
Hundreds a day,
and
or
then I mean, with all of the platforms combined, it's definitely hundreds a day. But depending on
and private messages, comments, all combined.
I didn't even think about.
Let's say half 1,000, 1,000. That would be a good estimate.
100%.
So just think about that for a second. To respond to half 1,000 to 1,000 messages, even if each response takes. It can't take less than 10 seconds. You have to think about the response. You can just send an emoji, although sometimes that's what you got to do. But let's put 10 seconds on average. 10 seconds times 500. That's 500. That's 5,000 seconds, which is roughly like that's hours. I don't know.
Yeah.
Wait.
I'm sorry, my brain is off right now.
My brain is too. I think it comes out to about an hour. It comes about to 60 minutes or 10.
Okay.
A lot.
But it's true though. Like now that I think about with all of our platforms together, it's definitely 1,000.
Yeah.
Like 1,000 a day.
So try to calculate 1,000 responses into how long it takes, and put it up on the screen later during the editing. I'm just curious.
Yeah, but what we do is we take time throughout the day. We've never like just sat down for like an hour or two and just did
just
comments like that. But we prioritize it though. It's important that we do it, just to tell people thank. But and also too, like people have like legit questions that they're asking, and so we want to, and like some of them are questions that are. It requires you to be attentive to it, because sometimes people feel like, man, I really, really connect with this, what you're saying. So I'm at this place in my life, and I can really use some advice, and so like some of those questions, like if a question like that, we prioritize those, and we get back to them, and it makes their day.
So I know we're running out of time. I want to cover two more quick topics
Let's
here
do it.
that are very important.
Let's do it.
One is, I think before the recording stopped and we restarted, we started talking about doing collabs.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you had a collab with another person that has over 80,000 likes, right?
80,000 followers.
80,000 followers.
Remy Franklin, yeah, it's my buddy.
And what happened? You got a lot more people that did not know about you, correct?
Yeah.
On your page.
Yeah, and that's the powerful thing about doing collabs. Collaborations exposes you to a whole different demographic. And so that particular post that we did very, very well.
I think there's a certain beauty in just collaboration in general. When people come together to work on something, it just becomes so much more powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that it's like there's little competition in social media. You're not really competing against other content creators within your field. You like the best strategy is to actually come together, because you can expose each other to each other's followers.
That's it. And we
grow together.
And we're doing that too. We've done a collab with Sean Elliott. And those collabs are just always good. We expose each other to different audiences, and we're gonna have some more collabs, soon in the future. And it's just like you said, it's a beautiful way to come together.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good advice to somebody that try to do as many collaborations as possible.
Yeah.
But again, keep it authentic. Don't just do just because let me check off the box.
Exactly. Let me hit that for a second too. Like I encourage people, don't do collabs just to try to get in front of their audience.
Right.
Do it because what I've seen some people, they would try to do a collab with someone that's not relevant to their audience. That's something that you have to really keep in mind as well, because you can get exposed to a whole bunch of other people, but if you get exposed to a whole bunch of other people who have no interest in you or what you're doing, what you're talking about, then it makes no difference. Right. So you have to choose your collabs very wisely. It has to be relevant to your particular brand or your particular identity of who you are.
Well said. The last topic I wanted to cover, and I'm a business person, and I'm always in the business sense. What can you do to feed your family using influence where it's an authentic way? It doesn't jeopardize your followers' trust, and it actually helps you. It supports your efforts, because like running an active social media channel is not cheap. It takes a lot of time. Time is money. You got to feed your family. You have to invest in equipment. You have to invest in different scenarios that will help you, like even moving to Israel. It is a story that you want to cover, but that's not a cheap story to cover. And like we established from the very get-go, the purpose of the channel was never to monetize. But I think if it's done in an appropriate way, I think it might be something beautiful too, because it allows the audience to help support the person that they're following.
Yeah.
Many people want to do it. And I think from our point of view as an advertising agency, we want to leverage influencers for our clients, but in a way that is very authentic. And in general, the way companies should approach advertising is not let me sell you something. Let me educate you about something that benefits you.
Beautiful.
So if it happens to be that, for example, for an influencer's, there's a product that improves their life, and they know that product is going to improve their followers' lives, it's like win. Everybody wins.
Sure.
Have you done any? I think you've mentioned briefly your wife was doing some kind of a brand deal with headscarves. Any other interesting brand deals that helped, first of all, support your own family and help your audience?
Yeah. Everything that we, every collab, every brand deal that we've done, is definitely for the benefit of our audience. We keep them in mind. There was one, I'm not going to say it exactly, but there was one time where we agreed to a particular partnership, and it did not go well at all. People like, and it's interesting, right? Maybe this is the perfect example of like the whole algorithm thingy, but it was something that did not represent who we are. We did it, because we said, hey, they wanted to pay us for it, right? And so we said, okay, let's do it. Like, it wasn't far left of kind of what we were doing. It was kind of within it, but it was something that we didn't use. You know what I mean? And so we made a post, and then it didn't get any views. Didn't get any views. It was just first of all, it wasn't even a video. It was, and people know that your reels get more engagement than actual posts, for the most part. We did the post, didn't go anywhere.
What would be a good success story?
A good success story.
Any product that comes to mind that was extremely helpful and it resonated with your audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, this is a perfect. Why am I thinking so hard about it? Ulpan Lienyan. That has been a very, very successful, and it's brand new. Like, we did a post.
For people that don't know what Ulpan is, it's a school that helps people learn Hebrew when they're moving to Israel.
Yeah. So that one was very, very, very beneficial, and it's a brand new partnership that we have, and but people really, really appreciated that we brought that to our community, as well as, I would say, another one. We did a partnership post with Meir Panim. Meir Panim is an organization that does like a lot of charity work, specifically in Israel, and so our audience really, really gravitated toward that and supported it. So that a lot of those were success as well.
And I think it's a great opportunity. Again, it becomes a win-win-win if I think the litmus test is, just like you said, if you don't believe in the product,
sure,
then that's the wrong deal. And I think that there is a certain level of finesse that people have to be mindful about picking the right partners. Definitely, I encourage any influencer out there to monetize their reach, because otherwise, how else are you going to invest all of your time into growing your audience?
Yeah, it's important.
If you want to do it, but do it in such a way that it's true and authentic. Never do it for the money. Use the money to help you do what your core goal is, which is telling your story, telling your message.
Yeah.
And if it adds to that story, like in Akiva's case, partnering with an Ulpan, that's like a no-brainer.
Right.
He's moving to Israel. He has to learn Hebrew, and they've providing him an opportunity to learn Hebrew,
yeah,
and expose it to all the audience that might be interested in that, because it goes well with that story.
Yeah.
And that, again, goes far beyond what he is doing in his personal life, because his channel is very niche to a certain type of audience. I think it's a very universally true thing. So if somebody like an influencer and DIY, redoing their house,
yep,
what partnership should they choose? They should probably choose a partnership with the tool that they actually use for rebuilding their home.
That's it.
And it serves a great purpose. So, and that's also from perspective of an audience. If you all of a sudden getting pitched something that doesn't go with the story of the person that you're following, then that should tell you that maybe you should stay away from that product.
Right.
If they're using it, I would say that's a good endorsement.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Work with people that fit, right? Work with people that fit your audience.
We're an advertising agency. That's something that we make sure to understand very well, how to leverage connections and how to promote products and services. Because ultimately, it's not just, we don't want to sell anything, we want to educate.
Yeah.
The best advertising is educating, connecting the buyer and the seller where they actually want to meet each other. It becomes a match made in heaven, and when you're the matchmaker, that's where you get the the reward for that, for being the matchmaker.
That's right. Can I before we go, I want to add something. A lot of times people they get paralyzed in getting started, meaning, well, it has to be this, or it has to be this, or I'm scared, or I'm nervous, and but I don't have this in place. I don't have it, right. Like, my encouragement is to, like, don't be afraid to start. Just start. Like, things don't have to be absolutely perfect to get going. We talked about equipment. We talked about all these things, right? But, like, you don't have to wait until all your ducks are in a row. Like, just get started, right? Just go.
One other thing that I think is very important is like you're saying, don't give up, because I can tell you an anecdote from our experience in 3D media. When I started the business, I was pushing like social media a little bit more. I was more involved. It started the growth, and then I just kind of was victim to my own success, where I was more doing the business and forgot about social media.
Yeah.
I put that on the sideline for a long time. And when you do that, it kills the engagement, it kills the page, and then it becomes less relevant. Very hard to revive it.
Yeah.
And we're working hard on doing that now that our company is, I'd say, more autonomous. It's not relying on me too much. I'm putting my time where actually my passion is. I really enjoy, for example, doing these podcasts, and I'm going to try to keep it consistent. Ultimately, I don't even care if anybody's watching. I'm still going to do it because I'm enjoying it. And I think we are bringing really interesting advice, really interesting people.
I agree.
And we're going to continue doing it. And I hope you do subscribe. I hope you do follow. And I hope you'll join our community of people that want to improve their life, improve their business, and just learn together. So please do comment. Please do send us messages.
Yep.
It's not about hiring us for a service. I really couldn't care less. I think we're busy as it is. In fact, I do turn down clients. I'm more interested in growing this social presence where we can make an impact, share the things that do work, share the messages that are relevant in today's society, because there's a lot of bad information floating out there. It's a dog-eat-dog world in business, and I think I've said this many times. I want to change that. We as a company want to change that. We have an amazing team. Everybody's passionate about doing what's right for others, and you can tell. Just, look at our reputation. It speaks for itself. I don't want to brag too much. You can check that. But the point is, everybody that interacts with us comes out knowing that there's a better way to do business. And I want to scale that globally. Let that message run wild. So please join us on this mission. Share, like, comment. Those things we actually do need. I'm going to ask you outright. Please do engage with us. And if we are making a mistake, if we are saying something that you do not like, I want to hear about it. I actually genuinely want to hear. I'm out there to learn with you. I want to know things that I'm not going to say I know everything. I make mistakes all the time. We make mistakes. That's a part of human experience, is about making mistakes and finding what the truth is. Yeah. And that's another thing that our society is lacking right now. There's a lot of people that are trying to silence opposing opinions, and that's a big shame. I hope we can, that's part of our movement here, is we'll probably bring in some guests that I happen to disagree with, and we'll have open discussions down the line. I think that's, I want to use our platform to debate and learn new things as well. So thank you very much for watching. This was episode number 10, I think.
Hey, I'm losing track, man. Yeah. We're pushing them out. So something like 10. I think we're on 10.
And we have a lot more interesting ones coming. Next one
Stay tuned.
Is going to be with I believe, unless we somehow record another one in between, but as of right now, we have a next one coming with a very interesting interior designer. She's killing it right now. Nice. And she's going to give amazing tips on how to design your new space, decorate it. I mean, her work is legit.
That's awesome.
And then after that, we have Sean Elliott coming back with Raj. He's an amazing guy that builds the most expensive homes in the world. And he's going to share his journey. We're going to talk about that, first of all, that project, 1200 Bel Air. And then after that, perhaps we'll touch upon other projects. We'll see how that goes.
Amazing.
And many, many more interesting things to come. So I hope you stick around. And again, thank you for watching. See you on the next one. Goodbye.